El Prez with Alpha Angler, and I want to geek out a little bit about our new rod, the Alpha Angler Honcho. So this is going to be less of a hype reel, a little bit more about the details, the engineering side of things, the things that I really look into when I'm building rods and designing rods. I've been doing it for over 15 years now. But I wanted to make a video because when we started talking about the Honcho, there's just a small group of guys that think like I do, like Josh does, that started asking questions about makeup and bend and deflection. You nerds that really care and think about the details of your rods, I wanted to make a video for you guys because the Honcho is probably one of the most unique rods we've ever built. And when I found this material many months ago, I knew it was something special because it was an all carbon designed blank, but it's multiple layers of carbon and they're layered together in a crosshatch design. So you've seen it in other blanks where they crosshatch the carbon. The outer layer is layers of carbon that are actually crosshatched. Then it's wrapped around another layer of carbon that's actually run all the way down, longitudinally down the blank. That's really cool because you get the crosshatch carbon protects the inner carbon and they work together. So I just knew that when I saw this technology, it's not easy technology to get a hold of, it's expensive. But when I saw it, it had a place in Alpha Angler. And I just didn't know exactly how it was. So I showed it to Polinick and he's like, hey man, we could make the next level, next generation glide bait rod. I knew that this was something special because the power to weight ratio on this particular material was it's just crazy different than anything I've ever seen. We've tried building heavier rods, heavier swim bait rods, heavier flipping sticks with blends of carbon and blends of glass. They tend to be a little bit too tip heavy for once you get into those heavier power ranges. So we tend to stay closer to carbon. Now the Wide Glide, for you guys that have used the Wide Glide has glass in it, and it's one of the most unique blends of carbon and glass we've ever seen. And it's why it's probably one of our best selling big rods. Every time they go into stock, they go right back out, like they're gone again. So I know we did something right with that. But once we wanted to get past that 3 ounces, those little bit bigger glide baits, we were running into too heavy of a rod and some issues with the kind of the bends that we wanted to see. And to be really honest with you, I'm not like this great glide bait fisherman. I actually am a tournament guy. I designed Alpha Angler around landing fish and winning tournaments. And so it was really hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm a glide bait guy. I'll go design a glide bait rod. Even though Brandon's so good at it, we were just kind of missing the mark. And then we found the Honcho material. I knew that we had something special. I knew it was going to be hard to get a hold of. It was going to be really unique. So if we were going to go down this road, I just wanted the design to be perfect. And that's when Brandon brought up Josh Plaities, who is the owner of Clutch Swimbaits. He thinks like I do, so it's easy to have a conversation with him about, he'll say something about length, taper, deflection. We're talking the same language. It was an easy way to work together to build this rod. And then we jumped right into it. So let me get into the details of this, but Josh really took this rod and tested it for its strength and its ability to cast the bigger baits. And we wanted to pick a bait to like, hey, what bait would you say is pretty mainstream on the big bait side of things? And it was the Boss, the Clutch Boss. Brandon has a bunch of footage where he caught 40 pounds on Lake Fork with this rod last year using the Boss. But all of the data, all the video footage is on a drive back at home in Idaho, and he's out on the road. So I only have a couple catches that I can reference, but I'll put them in the video while I'm talking here. But he crushed them. Big fish on this rod. They stay hooked up. So we knew we had the taper right. And so like a couple more details. The material is all carbon. It's really hard to find an all carbon blank that will bend the way you need, because you're still dealing with a treble hook when you set the hook with a glide bait, a big glide bait, and you're generally dealing with a treble hook that's connected to a lot of plastic on the other end. So when a fish wallows and jumps, he's got a lot of leverage. You've got to have the right bend. I knew what kind of bend I wanted, but I didn't know what kind of bend was perfect for working the bait. That's where Josh came in. I knew that we could design a bend that would land the fish, but we needed Josh to make this bend, the blend and everything that we did with this. Excellent casting, but also you need to be able to work the bait. That's something that I wasn't gonna be able to do well. And the other thing that we did with this was when I talked to Josh, Josh is also a tournament angler. I wanted to build a competitive tournament rod as well. Like, I didn't want to build a rod that really only fit on niche swim bait side of things. I wanted tournament anglers to also be like, hey, that will fit with what I'm doing. So I let Josh design the handle length. We actually had Pops, the Alpha GM, design the handle. It's one of the coolest handle designs I've ever seen. We were able to move the size around by using a split grip, but there's plenty to hold on to. It's rigid. it's one of the best designs I've seen. So hats off to Pops for figuring out the best handle for this, the best situation to get a good handle without using a full piece of EVA, which limited our ability to move the handle length around in development. So we were able to use it, add weight in the right places, remove weight in the right places, but this handle is perfect. It's the right size. It's not oversized so that you can really hold on to it all day. But when you're making like accurate casts, a really big bulky handle is hard to use. And that was something that Josh and I both agreed upon. So we worked on the length for hours. Like I think we made 6 different versions where we changed the handle length 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch. We also knew that we wanted to use the famous ECSM Fuji reel seat, but we wanted a size 16. So they make that reel seat in multiple sizes. And when you get up to bigger rods, you end up with a bigger reel seat. We wanted this reel seat to fit, a size 16 to fit, because then you have less you're holding onto in your hands. A lot of the times with a glide bait, you're using a bigger reel. So if you got a big reel and a big rod, you're trying to get your paws around while you're casting, you kind of lose some of that dexterity or that ability to move the rod tip around and put those slight movements in the bait. So we fought really hard. We worked really hard to get the perfect handle situation where we've got a size 16, one of the most comfortable and one of the most rigid, because you guys are throwing big baits, Fuji handle on here, size 16 handle, along with this, what I think is probably one of the best big bait designed handle systems I've seen. So hats off to Pops on that one. We redesigned the guides. That's where I came in. We wanted casting distance, but you've got to deal with, you've got to have enough guide foot placement in the places where the stress is the highest. And so we found, a guide placement where we could still make long casts. We have it's still our low drag guide system, but we just beefed it up. I'll tell you a quick story. One of the times we made a test rod for Brandon 4 or 5 years ago, and we used our standard guide system, which back then was a little bit smaller, and he set the hook on a really big fish at Okeechobee and tore guides out. We had to use different guide feet and different wrapping technology to make sure these guides stayed on there, but it still uses our low drag guide system, so it casts forever. We have great castability with this rod. And once again, its power to weight ratio is crazy. I'm pretty sure this might be one of the lightest 4 to 6 ounce bait launching machines you've seen. It's perfect for the boss. I mean, you go a little bit heavier than that. Josh says it's still good. Once again, I am not a glide bait aficionado. I throw the boss stuff and I generally keep it right in that area. But when Josh went out and tested this, he threw big mag drafts. He's not just a glide bait designer, and that's why I loved having him on this project. He is a bait designer. He is working on some of the coolest stuff ever. So I said, put this thing through the paces and let's talk about taper and let's talk about this thing's effectiveness as a tournament level rod. Glide baits are getting into the tournament world. If you're ignoring them, you're going to be in trouble, because along with forward imaging, they're also great fish finders. So we knew we needed a tournament grade, heavy duty, but very efficient, very well balanced glide bait rod. And that's what this one is. It's still great if you just want to fish on the weekend. It's one of the hardest builds we've ever had. We really had to refine the way we built rods to make sure that we kept the weight down without adding things that were unnecessary. But that's me geeking out about taper, about just the design of the Honcho. This is for you guys that are going to ask a lot of questions and say, hey, why is this rod so much different? Why is it's Alpha's most, I would say, extravagant build to date? Probably something I'm the most excited about. I never thought that we'd be going down this road. I've always really been a meat and potatoes type fisherman, but lately we've been introducing new stuff, glass tipped minnow rods, glass tipped chatterbait rod like that we have with the Chatterbound. There's a lot of advancements in the rod industry that we're getting to take advantage of, and the Honcho is just the next one. It's super cool project. So thanks for geeking out with me, guys. If you guys got questions, leave them in the comments. We'll definitely try to get back to them. Like I said, it's kind of a exotic material, so we got as much as we could. We're building as many as we can, but it's a limited edition run. So get a hold of the Honcho if you can. If you've got questions, leave them. Thanks for watching, and God bless you guys.